Well, that is one way to kick off a 25-game sprint for the Carolina Hurricanes, as they are in a 9-goal thriller to extend their winning streak and their point streak against the Tampa Bay Lightning. We'll talk about that. We'll hear from Logan Stankoven and Rod Brind'Amour on a Friday edition of Locked On Hurricanes.
You're Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
To the Friday edition of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Now the number one sports podcast network. I'm your host, Zach Martin, the credentialed Carolina Hurricanes beat writer over at the Hawkers, also the coach of the Surgecast, which is a weekly Carolina Hurricanes podcast, along with all my duties here at Locked On Hurricanes. On today's show, we're going to recap the Hurricanes' 5-4 win to push their point streak to 11 games, and they are now on a 4-game winning streak. We get to hear from Logan Stankoven, and as he had a multi-point night on his birthday, and we get to hear from Rod Brind'Amour post-game as well, reacting to his thoughts on the game overall for his team. But before we jump into all that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And Thursday night, I said this was going to be electric. I got the goalie prediction wrong because, Andre Vasilevskiy decided to play against the Toronto Maple Leafs the night before on Wednesday. So was Jonas Johansson in the net for the Lightning on Thursday night. Brandon Bussi was in goal for the Hurricanes, and he did get his 24th win in his first 28 starts, and now he's on an 8-game winning streak. He's now one away from tying the record that he already had this season with Cam Ward. So is 10 a possibility? I guess we'll see when we get to game number 9 in a row for him in his, as he looks for his 25th win then. But he is right now 24 wins in his first 28 starts to be 24-3-1. And this game was absolutely crazy. Hurricanes go up 3, and as we saw back in December, Tampa Bay comes back and ties it. Hurricanes get the lead once again, thanks to Seth Jarvis. Tampa, unfortunately, ties it again on a very quick power play goal. And then, who else? Sebastian Aho with the game winner to make it 5-4. They hold on for the win as they are now 37-15-6 on the season, 80 points, tied with Tampa Bay once again. And the thing is, since Tampa played a back-to-back, they only have one game in hand on the Hurricanes, as both teams are tied with 80 points in the Eastern Conference. But just because of points percentages, Tampa's still ahead. But that's one less game that's in hand for them. So like I said, multi-point nights for Taylor Hall, Logan Stankoven, and Seth Jarvis, as each of those guys had a goal and an assist. Andrei Svechnikov was the other guy who had a multi-point night, but he had 2 assists, which does put him to 30 on the season. So Andrei is having himself a great start, to what he's done this season. Brandon Bussi, 24 save performance, and hey, they ask how many saves did you stop the other team more? You did? Well, there you go. Then that's all that really mattered. He picks up his 24th win of the season, which is crazy to think about. But overall, this was a game of a lot of ebbs and flows. Like I said, Hurricanes score 3, Tampa scores 3, back and forth, or Hurricanes get the lead again. Tampa ties it, Hurricanes get the lead once again. And then the last probably minute, it's just a fire sale of changes. Brandon Bussi makes a lot of saves. Tampa, with the empty net for basically almost 3 minutes, finds a way to make multiple saves with no goalie in the net because guys are just selling their bodies. Jacob Slavin absolutely steamrolls, Nikita Kucherov, which is like, holy smokes. Like, Jacob Slavin's not a guy who absolutely just smokes guys, but he did. It was a very heavy hit. Of course, it's Slavin doing gold medal Jacob Slavin things. And he even had a couple times tonight on Thursday where he had a couple of deflections that helped Brandon Bussi make some saves, and you'll gladly take that. So It was definitely a total team effort. 10 guys got points on the night. Like I said, you have multiple guys with multi points, as well. Good to see Seth Jarvis scoring his 26, Sebastian Aho scoring as well. And, Logan Stankoven on his birthday, hey, way to celebrate it. Getting yourself in a goal and assist, and, Taylor Hall with a multi-point game was really fun to watch. How about the Jackson Blake just absolutely disgusting toe drag to help to the Taylor Hall goal to make it 3-0? Like, my goodness, that was just downright the ew of how good that was. But it gives you a good sense of this Hurricanes team, the fact that, it was another 3-0 lead that got turned into a 3-3 game. But instead of how it went last time where they lose 6-4, they held on, never gave Tampa the opportunity to get the lead. And you pick up your 37th win of the season. I think that's, while it stinks the lead was lost, you're seeing the turn of the narrative or the storyline of, okay, here we go. The Hurricanes blew the lead. They're probably going to lose the game. No, they were able to hold on, get the lead back a couple times, and end up getting the win. So maybe it's that mindset change of, okay, we're not going to see a team blow leads and lose games. Now it's like, okay, a lead might potentially get lost, but the game won't be lost, which is a good thing to see here. And, like I said, you're getting first line scoring goals. You got the second line who absolutely popped off. Like, that was just insane. We look at how those guys just absolutely just took it to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Definitely the best line of the entire for the Carolina Hurricanes. It makes you wonder what did those guys do over break. Obviously, we know some of those guys went, back home, especially Stankoven and Blake. But man, it's just that second line was really killing it. How about Nikolai Ehlers gets the scoring early, less than 2 minutes in, and just kicks off the whole thing with an absolute brilliant pass by Keandre Miller, springs him. He scores on an absolute nasty breakaway. Third line's doing well. Fourth line, there wasn't any points from those guys, but they were still putting in the work, throwing bodies, and keeping Tampa at bay for the most part. Defense did their thing, and Brandon Busty made the huge saves. Really needed it. It's this is just a total team performance, which you can be very happy about. Definitely a lot closer than you wanted it to be, but I mean, you are talking about the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are top of the Eastern Conference as well and leading the Atlantic Division. So that's not a team just going to roll over, because you heard what I talked about in the preview show. Like, this is a team that allows the second least amount of goals and scores the second most goals on average. So it's no real surprise that Tampa, even while down 3-0, were able to come back, because they are a team that doesn't quit, especially when getting Nikita Kucherov, who's just on an insane level right now for them. So this is not a game where, we're going to be up, we can probably put these guys away. It's like, no, you got to keep playing. And Tampa scored 2 goals in like 35 seconds towards the end of the first period. And like I said, that's not a team that's just going to roll over and let you just absolutely pump them, 5-1, like we saw for the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are still in a massive free fall. So this is a Tampa Bay Lightning team that's going to be very formidable. And honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if this is the Eastern Conference final matchup, which is scary to think about for the fact that the Hurricanes had to deal with Florida 2 out of the last 3 Eastern Conference finals. And now potentially you're looking at Tampa, the other Florida team, as a potential Eastern Conference final opponent. That is just something that's going to be crazy, of course. Who knows? Something could definitely change between now and then, but this is this could be an Eastern Conference final matchup if everything breaks down the way it is, because both of these teams, top of their divisions, playing some great hockey right now. You got some other teams in the Atlantic that are kind of making noise. I'm curious to see what Pittsburgh and the Islanders do in terms of the Metro, but right now you do have some other Atlantic teams that might be making some noise, that maybe probably more so Detroit than anyone else. Buffalo's on a roll too, but Tampa is a team that's really going to be someone to watch out for. And for the fact that the Hurricanes were able to tie the season series with one more game left between these two teams, it's another blown lead, but they were able to pull it out. That's all that really matters. They don't ask how, they ask how many. Did you score the most goals? Yes. Well, there you go. You win the game. So now that's where you're at. Now, we talked about the game overall, but what did Logan Stankoven say after the game on his birthday in a multi-point night? Stick around and we'll listen and react to that in a second on a Friday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Workplace chaos, deadline stacking up, inbox overflowing, and one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed, sponsored jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location, so you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. We need the right person to cut through the chaos. This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Cold days, packed schedules, and big goals. That's winter. And when there's not a lot of time to cook, eating well can feel like another thing on the to-do list. That's where Factor comes in. Factor makes healthy eating easy with fully prepared meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs. So you can eat well without the planning, prepping, or cooking. Factor meals are always fresh, never frozen, and ready in about 2 minutes. No refined sugars, no artificial sweeteners, and no refined seed oils. It's perfect for busy weeks when you still want meals that support your goals without the stress. Head to factormeals.com/LockedOnAHL50 off and use code LockedOnAHL50 off to get 50% off and free breakfast for a year. Eat like a pro this month with Factor. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. One free breakfast item per box for 1 year while the subscription is active. Join the Everydayer Club for an ad-free audio, access to our group chat on Discord, and more. Use code DEADLINE ahead of the trade deadline for 1 month free. Click the link in the show notes or the description to join today. Once again, that is DEADLINE for a free month of our Everydayer Club. Now, welcome back to segment 2 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. All right, so we talked about the game overall, and we know that Logan Stankoven got a goal and assist on his birthday, but what did the birthday guy say after the win on his birthday? Well, we're going to react to that and listen to it right now.
Thank you.
How's it feel scoring your birthday and come back after 3 weeks of not playing hockey?
It's nice, for sure. I was hungry to get back out there and contribute, and it was nice to see the puck go in and our line have some success.
Taylor was talking about how your line is growing. You've been together for a while, and the chances are coming, and maybe a little more luck. What are you seeing in the maturity of your group?
I agree with that. Obviously, there's games where we'd like to produce a bit more, but I think our team has that depth where we have different lines that can step up and contribute at different times. So, there's sometimes you can't control where the puck goes, but if you can work as hard as you can and keep building on the little things, it's all you can ask of yourself.
Like tonight, you feel like you guys need to produce, given that Aho's line's taking on one of their big lines, Stahl's taking on one. It gives you an opportunity to maybe, play down the lineup a little bit.
Yeah, they have a lot of big guns over there, so it was nice to contribute and put the puck in the net and hopefully build on a game like that.
The two teams exchanging chances pretty much back and forth through the first two periods. But the third, it seemed like you guys got back onto your game. You think that was just a matter of knocking the rust off and being able to then get going with your team game?
Yeah, I think so. And then just being able to reset in between periods. They're so good at being able to get the puck in the neutral zone and hit guys with speed, and they're very dangerous off the rush. So, I thought that's just something that we talked about in between periods and limiting turnovers.
Logan, what have you seen from Taylor Hall and how he complements your line?
Yeah, just a veteran guy, knows the game really well, and is always, consistently talking to us and trying to set up plays and whatnot. So, a lot of speed there and great vision from him. So.
What's on tap for tonight?
I don't know. Just go to bed and maybe go grab some dinner. But other than that, just head to bed and get ready for Saturday's game.
So you and your crew had over in Chapel Hill on Monday night. How much fun did you have attending the game? What brought y'all over there?
That was great. My first college basketball game ever, so it was nice just to see the facility. And before the game started, we were able to get down and see the dressing room, and just there's so much history there. Something for me coming from Canada, we don't have a lot of college basketball, so it's cool to experience that and just be at the game. And obviously they won, so that was nice.
Did you see that Henry Vasar was here tonight too?
I heard a couple guys were coming. Yeah.
Nice.
So it's nice of them to come out and support us.
Big thank you to Logan Stankoven and the Carolina Hurricanes. And you heard from him. It's definitely one of those interesting games for sure. You get a lot of back and forth, and Tampa's a team that always finds a way to come back and not really say die, but the fact that it speaks to the team and just talking about what Taylor Hall said too, about how this line keeps growing. The fact that you're talking about a guy in Hall was a former MVP and he's playing with two guys who are 23 years old, and the chemistry is still building there and stuff like that too. And it's just great to see that be able to continuously just keep getting better as the season goes along, and just finding a way to get the job done. And it's funny how the fact that it's like, what are your plans for your birthday? I don't know, go to sleep. Like, yeah, pretty much. When you're talking about a game that ends, after between 9:30 and 10 o'clock and everything else, and having to be with Billy and all that, it's like you're kind of just want to do nothing and just move on with your day, go to sleep and stuff like that. But it's definitely congratulations to him on getting multi-point night on his birthday. You gotta love to find a way to celebrate it like that. And now you prepare for Saturday. You got Detroit coming to town. It's another big, Atlantic team that's coming and taking care of business. But, it's funny too, the fact that his first basketball game was a UNC game. And I mean, hey, that's cool. He was able to have an experience like that. And the fact that even some of the guys came to support them. But to be honest, I mean, as someone who's an NC State fan, it's like, okay, yeah, cool, have fun, but hey, it is what it is. But yeah, sorry, that's the bias. That's the NC State bias in me. But hey, you know what? At least the guys had a good time. It was great to get to some of them get to enjoy their first basketball game. But it's always go Wolfpack here. But yeah, it's great for Logan to be able to go and kind of put himself into a good spot with getting assists, getting a goal on his birthday, and now he kind of get that momentum back flowing. It's going to be able that he was able to get up and do that with 3 weeks off, going home, reset, recharge, and produce like he did in a game tonight where that line really needed to get the job done, and they did. Now you come away with a 5-4 win. You keep your point streak alive, which is at 11. The win streak's at 4. Now you prepare for Saturday, and then you're off for another West Coast trip that starts off in Seattle. Then you go to Alberta for a back-to-back and all that stuff. So you kind of just prepare and get ready for all that's to come, and we'll see how everything goes from there. But so we heard from Logan Stankoven, but what did Rod Brind'Amour say after the win for his team after their break, and especially how the way they did it too in a 9-game thriller? Stick around, we'll listen and react to that in a second on a Friday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel's giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on an NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right. Flights, tickets, the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock it in. And now, not only can you pay cash, but it can also send you to the finals. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Welcome back to segment 3 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. All right, so we're going to recap the Hurricanes 5-4 win over the Lightning. Heard from Logan Stankoven. But what did Rod Brind'Amour say after the game following his team's winning their first game back to push their streak and also their winning streak? Well, we'll listen to it and then react right after it right now.
Rod, I imagine you'll take a few wonky things there to have that be your first game back against that team.
Yeah, I mean, everything that went on in that game was kind of what you knew was coming. We just kind of got to obviously a good start, and then the power play, they clicked right away, and Kucherov with a nice delay rips it in the net. Like there's a lot of talent, and he's, like we said, coming in the game, that's the player you gotta when he's on the ice, and he certainly had a good game. But I thought we battled hard, and like I said, the start was the key, obviously.
Did you like how you settled down in the third? I think they only had 6 shots, and 3 of them were once they pulled their goal.
Right. I thought the game got a little better there in the third. I liked our game, not giving up as much. That was the key. We were giving up a little bit too many good looks for them. But in the third, I thought we'd settled down a little bit and got to our game a little better.
The Stankoven line has been generating chances for you plenty throughout the year, but it seems like the goals have been a little harder to come by for them, but tonight, obviously, some big ones for you.
Yeah, they were huge tonight. A lot of pretty goals. You don't always see that, but I think that line in general creates a lot for us. And like I said, they're not always on the score sheet, but they're always around it, and they have the potential every shift to kind of make something happen. So they were obviously our best line.
You mentioned Aho was run down. He said he was gassed a little.
Yeah.
But when you have a power play, I guess that's a chance to maybe.
Yeah. I mean, it came through, right? It wasn't the best of the shots, but you look at the play he made on the wall. It was under pressure. He kind of held on to it, had composure to settle it down, and then, I mean, I know they had full possession. They fired it right to Jarry, so they're going to be not happy about that. But Jordan was in front, that did his job, and it's obviously when you can match their special teams and go away and say, well, they got one, we got one. That's really what you need to do against that team.
Logan Stankoven talked about how Taylor Hall constantly is having conversations with them out there throughout the game. What have you seen in how Hall has complemented that line?
Yeah, that's a good pickup. He's a veteran, and he knows certainly on the offensive things. I mean, he's on it and has great awareness for that and helping out. Those playing with 2 younger players in the league. So I think he's been really good for those guys.
How vital has the defense been kind of generating offense for you guys? It seems like throughout the year, stepping up in the neutral zone and being able to read those plays to push play the other ways.
Well,
vital.
The way they do it in their zone, it's they'll stretch you out and then come back and then hit the next wave, and it's tough to defend. And I thought we did a decent job, but Ghost actually did a real nice job with it tonight. He was really breaking up the play before they could get the next wave and create some turnovers. So you have to do it against them. It's not easy to do. I mean, it's impressive to watch. Kucherov, you got to tip your hat. I mean, that guy is world class.
You mentioned that at the end, though, Slavin gets him in the corner.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's maybe the way to go with
well,
it.
Yeah, I mean, you'd love to try to. It's not, like I said, it's easier said than done. And that's one way at least. And try to eliminate him a little bit. I thought we did a nice job at the end of the game. I thought they didn't really get any super good looks. We had, I think, 4 or 5 good looks at the empty net, and we make it interesting. That's for sure.
Big thank you to Rod Brind'Amour of the Carolina Hurricanes. And very interesting when you listen to Rod kind of give his thoughts on the game. Yes, it was one where you let Tampa, you give them too many good opportunities, and they talk about it. You got to watch out for Kucherov, and unfortunately, he did burn them during the game a little bit, but it was definitely the start to help this team out. I mean, when you score 3 goals in basically less than 7 minutes, and the crazy thing too is when you look at those 3 goals for the Carolina Hurricanes, and meant to mention this in the first segment, but this was, you would say, the sixth fastest that the Hurricanes were able to score in the first 7 minutes, because when you look at franchise history, back in 1988, they did it in 3 minutes and 47 seconds against the Minnesota North Star score. This is when they were still the Whalers, but then 2010 against Edmonton Oilers, 4 minutes and 10 seconds. 2016 against the Jets, 4 minutes and 33 seconds. 2017 against the Predators, 4:47. 1999, Tampa Bay Lightning, 6:22. And then on Thursday night's game, 6:41. And then to round out, Pittsburgh Penguins, 7 minutes and 6 seconds. Of course, this is back in 1987 as the Whalers. And then back in 1980, this is the original Winnipeg Jets. This was in 7:07. So you see how good that was for the Carolina Hurricanes. In fact, you're talking the sixth fastest to score 3 goals to start a game. And it's like right behind the number 5 spot, which is also Tampa, but you're talking 1999. That definitely helped. And the fact that, he talked about Taylor Hall being a veteran on that line with those 2 young guys of Stankoven and Blake. They have just been continuously getting better as the season's gone along. Talking about Jacob Slavin too. And, having, just seeing him playing some great defense as always, deflecting shots, throwing that massive hit on Kucherov, and then talking about how they were able to just, settle into the third period. Because first couple of periods, it was definitely dicey, but when Rod said, he did like how they kind of settled it in, only, allowed 6 shots. They kind of went back to their style of hockey. And he thought that was kind of the better part, which is, I think it's, outside of the 3-0 lead that they had, I think that third period where they were kind of lock it in and very much limit Tampa's chance. I think that really put them in a good spot as well. And you kind of, have a good sense of, that was a better finish. And it didn't let the snowball effect from earlier in the game kind of dictate or how things would have changed for the Hurricanes overall. So it's one where it's like, hey, you're going to have a wonky game, first game back, but you're able to pull out the win. That's all that really matters. And now you kind of just get ready for Detroit, and then it's on to March where things don't really slow down. Now it's a continuous build. As we still got 24 games left, a ton in March, a lot of, every other day, a bunch of back-to-backs, 3s and 4s, stuff like that. So it's not going to slow down over the next, I would say, month and a half between March and part of April. Then next thing you know, we're into the playoffs for the 2026 Stanley Cup, postseason, and then you just go on from there and seeing seedings and all of that stuff too. So, hey, they don't ask how many. You got the goals, you got the win. That's all that really matters. You're keeping some streaks alive. Brandon Bussey, like I said, he's on an 8-game winning streak of his own. One of those games where he bailed the team out and the team bailing him out too. And now he's 1 game away from tying another, once again, like I said, tying the consecutive wins in a season that he already did earlier with Cam. So be kind of cool to see if he can do it again. And, team is heating up. Andrei Svechnikov's up to 30 assists. Seth Jarvis is still scoring goals. So, he's up to 26 now. Sebastian Aho, I think, scored his 21st of the season. There you're seeing guys, contributing up and down the lineup and just getting the job done. That's kind of what you ask for if you're the Carolina Hurricanes. But now you get to, practice on Friday, get ready for Detroit on Saturday, and keep this thing rolling. But guys, this is the Friday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Thank you for making your first listen of the day. If you've never missed an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Hurricanes ad-free, plus a members-only Discord access and more. Club today. Usually it's $5 a month or $50 for the entire year, but if you use our code DEADLINE right now, you can get 1 month free of our Everyday Club, so make sure to go check that out. For those of you on video, we send you the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure to make your second listen to AHL Game Night on Locked On AHL. If you want to keep up with me, I'm a one-true Zach on X. The podcast is LO_Hurricanes. I'm also on Blue Sky, the Zachary Martin, where if you click the link to my bio, you can find all my written content at thehockeywriters.com. Just put something out recently on the 3 Hurricanes players to watch as we are now 24 games left in the regular season. We've got a lot more stuff coming out over the next few days, especially with the trade deadline being next Friday. If you want to check my other podcasts, it's the Surgecast on all podcast platforms and on YouTube for Locked On Hurricanes. We're on Spotify, Google, Apple, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to your podcast. Make sure to leave a 5-star rating and review. On YouTube, it's Locked On Hurricanes. Subscribe, hit the bell notification so you don't miss a show. Hit the thumbs up so let me know if you like the show as well. Share with other Caniacs to become everydayers just like you. But hope everyone enjoyed the Friday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Enjoy your Friday and your weekend. And until next time, as always, let's go Canes.